Now, just a few words, okay, about order flow. And if you've been around and we've been watching, okay, the charts, okay, which we have, obviously, okay, what we do over here is very different from what is available outside. Okay, and we've grown far beyond, okay, what other people call order flow. You know, when I was first exposed to this word called order flow about 14 years back, for me, the picture which was presented was that there are certain numbers kept on a chart, and those certain numbers mean order flow. Okay, that is, okay, what was presented to me. This is about 14 or 15 years back. But today, order flow is gone, okay, much beyond seeing numbers on a screen, you know. And in a sense, a lot of people, when they use that word order flow, they are so zeroed in on what is happening in a particular bar. Okay, so they are focused on that 5-minute bar or that 3-minute bar or whatever bar, okay, they are looking at that 30-minute bar, and they're just focused, okay, on that information which is there in the bar, neglecting the reason that bar is being created or what was in the immediate past to make that bar appear in the way it is. See, that bar which is developing, the volumes, okay, which are coming in front of you on that particular bar in which you're zeroing in at the moment, is because of a few things, okay, which happened in the not too distant past. In the immediate few bars, certain things have happened, and that is, okay, creating the impact or the volume in the bar, okay, which you're looking at the most right hand corner of your screen. Okay, so a lot of people neglect that utility which is there in those 4 or 5 bars away, okay, from that current bar, to the left of the current bar. Now, I believe, and it is my belief system, that you need to look at order flow much beyond, okay, that current bar, and have an understanding about what is the context or the driving force, okay, which is making that current bar do what it is doing right now. Right? So our conversation on order flow is not just about talking about one particular thing happening in a current bar. Okay, it is leading up to that development out over there which is happening. Okay.
Good evening, everyone. A quick sound check. Am I audible? Great. So we had an eventful Nifty monthly expiry today. So before we move on to what happened today and move on to the order flow charts, let us just see what we were doing in Nifty first, and then we will move on to the Bank Nifty. And we will look at both the spot as well as the futures chart, and then see what the order flow showed us today from open. And we'll run through the order flow of both Nifty futures and Bank Nifty futures, and look at some new additions which have come in on the VTrender chart section of how we can see the IB and the IS signal, the initiative buying and initiative signals, in a condensed form. So let's start with the Nifty spot. We have the Nifty spot on the right and the futures on the left. So what we did till yesterday this week was form a 3-day balance. You can see how the first day, the Monday, was a neutral center profile, which was indicating that the range is consolidating. And on Tuesday, we got an initiative selling tail, but it remained in previous day's range. So as such, we did not get any selling below this reference of 24140, which was the previous week's POC. So this was our important reference. In the session we had on Monday, we had spoken about how this level would be important for the week. And again, yesterday, what we did was we did the reverse of what we did on Tuesday. We opened lower, filled up this value, and then made a double distribution trend day up. So overall, on the last 3 days, we had found overlapping value. So it was telling us that the Nifty was in a range, it was consolidating, and you can see the same happening in the Nifty futures also. So what we had was a balance, and we had to wait and see where when this balance will give way to an imbalance. So that's the reason in today's report also on Twitter, when we posted this spot chart, we had the hypos marked, and even in the post on X, we had mentioned whether the Nifty will start an imbalance today. So we have these hypos marked, and you can see the hypo on the upside was 24281 and 24341, whereas the downside Nifty spot would have been weak below this 24274, and this 24135 was one important reference below which the start of a fresh imbalance would have started, because that was the low of these 3 days. It was holding this weekly POC. So this was the main reference, and once this broke, we went on to tag all the lower hypos of today. So coming back to this profile chart, so the homework for today was, what we could do was we could form a composite of these 3 days, because they have been forming overlapping value, and then we take this value as our reference. So the hypos which you saw on the report have been marked on these chart also. So you can see how the first hypo on the upside was 24281. And what we did today at open was, we made an open auction in range, probed above this, went on to make higher highs, but we could not sustain above this selling tail of 24341. So when we move away from a balance, we expect that value area high to hold. So ideally, this value area high should have held when we are moving away from a balance. The same thing in Nifty futures. This 3-day value area would have been our reference, and we would have to move above this value area high to be bullish. But that was not the case. What we did in spot was we moved away, but we could not sustain above this selling tail. We have made similar highs all this week at 24345, 24355 zone. So again, today we made a high there, but here you can see once we got back into the 3-day value, how the C period has just swiped through this composite, and we have left a singles. C side is not to be trusted, but today was one of those exceptions where the C side made the big move. And when you get such a big C side move, when it has swiped through this entire composite, and you can see how the highs of D stayed below this Q4135 reference. So this was that indication that this auction which was in balance has now turned into imbalance. So once we completed the C and the D could not get back into this composite, it was very clear that we are headed lower. And because we were below this 24135 reference, all the lower hypos came into the picture. Similarly, if you see what has happened in the futures, again we could not even get above this value area high. And once we got made this range extension, we just swiped lower. We broke below this 24190, which we had spoken about it being an important reference both in spot as well in futures. Yesterday we were making a base at 24190 in the first couple of hours before we got that move higher, and 24140 before that was showing us buy side volumes on Monday and Tuesday. So what we did was we broke the 24190, and then we went on to break the 24140 also. So here we saw change of polarity. It will get more clearer in the order flow chart. I'll just start that in a bit, but you can see how the 24140 held in the futures also, and the pullback we made in F stalled right at that seaside singles. So even in F period, when we made this pullback high, it was very clear that we are headed lower. And that is what we went on to do. These red dotted lines are the hypos which we give out in the report. And this dark one is the last hypo of the day. So you can see how once we broke the first hypo on the downside, we went on to tag all the lower hypos, and this is where we took support. We have left a very small buy side tail, but nonetheless, this imbalance is now uh, going to be the theme, and we will have to wait and watch how the next day's auction behaves as in according to this profile. Even in futures today, the settlements, so from tomorrow we will be having a look at the December futures. This is the November futures which we are looking, but even in this you can see how this downside imbalance had this target of 23867, which was the unvisited VPOC from 22nd of November. So how we went and swiped there in the J, after which we held those lows. So this is how the profile was looking, the structure was before we started the day. So let us now have a look at the order flow chart. And these hypos are updated every day. You can see all this every day's hypos are updated in this weekly report, and even today's hypos were marked out. So these are very helpful if you're using if you're trading using the market profile and the order flow. So I'll just quickly come to the order flow charts, and let's start from the open today and see what the open was. So because we were in a balance, the open was not a very high confidence one. In fact, it was a very low key open, and it was confirming an open auction in range. So at the open, it was more likely that the writers would have held sway. So when do we change that bias? So you can see how we opened in previous days, range and value, and the volumes were notably on the lower side, and we did not get any signals. We were holding this 24253 on the lower side, and on the upside we went on to tag this 24354, which gave us an RS. So this was the IB markers. So 24253 on the downside and 24354 on the upside. So we were in an open auction end range, and we had marked a 100-point IB range. But the first signal which came was at 10:15, and because this was a seaside, we were taking it with a little bit of doubt, and we were waiting if we get any further signals in this direction. We had an RS. After an RS, we have got an IS. Ideally, if a seller is entering, he'll have to break VWAP. So in the order flow, we were looking at that break of VWAP, which happened here. So this seller was doing a good job. And then in the 1033 bar, when we got this huge IS, this was a blind uh, signal to go short. What will be our stop loss? Even if we have not traded with this IS and a break of EVAP, this IS plus IS coming in inside 10 bars is a sure short trade. Conservative stop loss would have been this 24345, the POC before the first IS. Because this is a big IB IS bar and we have zeros in the order flow, we can take this POC as our aggressive stop loss 24262. So this, because we are leaving a probable extension handle here, and it is followed by another IS the very next bar, we can easily have our stop loss as 24262. And you can see how after getting a similar IS bar, we not only, because we have got a big range, we not only part book profits, but we can also trail our stop loss to this POC. So this is how we use the order flow, and this IS plus IS is a very powerful signal. If you're getting two IS, that two of these range, the range and the volumes, you can see 11,000 contracts and 8,000 contracts. So these kind of volumes and range are very less. This is telling you that this market is going to drop heavily, and we know what the stop loss will be. You can see how after this IS, this POC was nowhere in picture, and the zeros, we have spoken about how zeros in the middle of a bar give us support and resistance. So this would have been our reference that we would not be getting about this if this seller is dominant. And once we got this fresh IS, this would have been our reference. And 24140, I had mentioned how it was our level on Monday and Tuesday where we saw buyers defending. But those buyers are not to be seen today because of this IS. So once we get an IS, it is very clear that we are with the seller till the time the IS reference is not been negated. So you can see how even though we got RBs and we got a small bounce, how this POC held on. So as long as that POC is holding, there is no reason for us to not remain short. That is the reason Chai also posted on X today that you cannot be a put writer after this kind of a signal in order flow. So what we did was here the POC did shift lower. You can see this big white line. The POC did shift lower, but the POC shifting lower is only telling us that the sellers are booking profits. It does not mean that you can go for a long position. So we go for a long only when we get IB signals in the order flow. So right now that IS signal and the last IS signal POC was this 24153. So till the time we don't negate this, we don't see an IB at this level, we are not looking for any long side trades. So you can see how we made this pullback high just around that 24153 level, and this was also the pullback high we made in D. 24129 was the high of D period, and 24126 was the high we made in the F. So it was very clear that, and even the VWAP was just above it. So till we don't take off these references with an IB bar, it was paying us to go short on bounces in Nifty futures and look for dips to buy puts. Put longs was the theme today, and put longs rewarded us the most. So here you can see how we went on to hold this RB of 24050, but we were not getting any IB signals at the top. We have got this IB here, but this is again a very narrow range IB bar and just 1100 contracts. You can see the alternative bars. In fact, the next bar which is given you an RS is got more volume than this IB. So when you're getting this RS volume more than the IB, that is clearly telling you that there is not much of buying happening in this bar. So in an IB or an IS signal, what we want to see is more volumes, big volumes, just like how we saw in those IS bars. The first IS bar of today did not have too much of volume, but still it was the highest. It was more than this, and it was more than the uh, next bar also. And the highest volume which came in that seaside B and C period was this RS. So it was clearly telling us that the high volume bar are the ones where the seller is exerting control. We saw these reds over here in the 1003 bar, and we saw an RS 595 seller at the top with zeros on the buy side. And then this IS came on 2700, which was the highest among these three bars. And then we had this three bars at VWAP, which continued to show us huge volumes, 11,000 and 8,000 contracts. When you are getting in an IS bar, it is very clearly telling you that be ready for a range expansion. So alternatively here, what IB bar we saw is only having 1,000 contracts. So this will not qualify as a ideal IB. Still, we would want this IB to get complemented with another IB inside the 10 bars. But what happened was this IB low broke. So this IB low breaking along with the POC of the day was a fresh short, and it was a very low risk short with an initial stop loss just above this 24093. So you can see how it went on to make these new lows, and then it remained below this POC reference. POC was showing us support before in the order flow, but once it was broken, it started to show change of polarity. And then it was very clear that we are headed lower, and we made range extensions on the downside, even on the 30-minute time frame. So here again, we have got a good IB signal, and these volumes are also good, but immediately you can see how this IB signal was followed by a higher volume bar with zeros on the buy side. So this is where you have to be aware about which IB signals are good quality ones and which are not. Ideally, an IB signal, you will need to see more volumes on the up, on the top, on the buy side. You will not want an IB signal with zeros on the buy side at the top. So here you can see this NPOC got tagged, but we left an RS bar. So immediately what happened, even if there was some demand which came back here, this an inability of sustaining above this NPOC forced all the demand to go out, and here you got a huge IS bar again. So the break of this IB low was a fresh uh, signal to go short, and if you would have gone short, you would have easily gotten a big 140 point move lower. So we went on to make this low, but here again you can see how these kind of bars generally form the exhaustion bar, and we remained in this bar for the rest of the day. But still this bar, the order flow in this bar will still give you some good trading opportunities. How? See, once we remained above this bar, we had to look for this high of the IS bar to hold in case we were getting any IS signals or RS signals over here, or with this as our stop loss, it could have been a good trade for a test of this POC and the lows. So that is what happened in the bounce we got in the K period. The high we made was 24018. So when this is holding, I will show you one put chart we were looking at, and the put chart took support right at the IB low. It had given an IB signal, and this bounce which we got at 230, the put made a low right at the IB low of a previous bar. So that was telling us that this is a good opportunity to get into that put with a very low risk. And this went on to come back to this POC. Although it did not tag the lows, it remained around this, and finally into the close, we saw the POC shifting at 23910. So this is how we have a look at the order flow and give lot of importance to this IB and IS signals. And if the IS signal is on big volumes, we will definitely make note of them, and we'll make note of the highs of the IS signals and the lows of the IB signals for the bias to be in that direction. So this is how we use the order flow in today. And the first IS signal which came at 10:30, you can see that NPOC was not tagged. In fact, the uh, twin IS signals which we saw, this NPOC and this NPOC never got tagged for the rest of the day. So if you are a option seller, anything about 24,200 call was a good sell with a very low risk, and it would have definitely got you zero in the premiums. So that is how we can use the order flow chart for both buying and selling options. We use them extensively in the vtrader room for buying going long, because it gives us some fantastic short term trade. Then we quickly get in and quickly come out as per the signal validity holds. So this is as far as the nifty futures order flow is concerned. We have a very new feature in the vtrader chart section. In the menu, we have something called as the candlestick chart. So I'll just quickly run through the candlestick chart of today, and you can see how this candlestick chart is so beneficial because it is giving us a condensed move. Here you can see yesterday's IB signals. I was talking about how we were getting buying at 24190. It formed a base in the first half, and after which it went on to give an IB in the afternoon in the G period after and trended higher. So these are the IB signals. So in the candlestick charts, wherever you have got the IB signal, the IB low will prove to be support. So here you can see this IB low of 24221 was a support, and then these higher IB lows which were not tagged, 24261, 24274. So you can see how this 24261 was the reference of the first IS bar we got. That was the POC of this IS bar. So what happens? What happens when we are looking at the candle stick is, we can see we got the first IS at 10:15, which was followed by this IS at 10:33 and 10:36. So we immediately take the top of the IS bar as our uh, stop loss and remain short. So we continue to hold the short bias, and once we get a fresh IS signal, this becomes our latest reference. So this 24027 would have been our reference even for the next session, but because today was the expiry, we will have to look at the exact levels in the December futures, which we can do within just one click. We just need to go to the drop down, click on this, and you can see how we have got these IS. So this is, so here you can see how we have not got IS signals in this. So definitely what happened in the November futures today was a typical settlement play. Even in the cot, in the order flow, we were seeing red cot, 10 bar red cot only in the November futures on both 3 minutes and 30-minute time frame, the 10 bar cot. But in the December futures, the cot was green, which is the reason we have not seen any IS signals in the order flow chart also. So a quick announcement, we are having our workshop. If you are interested in what we do at VMR, we are having a 1 day workshop at Mumbai on the 7th of December. So you can have the details on our website. The link is given, and it'll be a 1 day workshop which will start at around 10 o'clock, and it'll end close with the dinner around 9:30. So it'll be a, power packed day with 5 sessions, and it'll also end with the networking and also a question answer session at the end of the day. So in case you are keen on developing the market profile and order flow aspects of your trading career, this is definitely a must attend program. So make sure you are in for this, and we will have some wonderful interactions over there, and which will be in our registered in our mind forever, and we can make use of them to become better traders. So definitely this is a once in a, you can say this is the first time in I think almost 4 years this event is happening, because the last event which was there was before the COVID struck. So the candlestick is only for the elite plan. So you will have that marked. It is only for the elite users and the VMR members. VMR members automatically get access to the most premium plus plan of the VTrender charts. So, so in candlestick, you can get a condensed view. So if we want to look at the Bank Nifty, so it is very easily showing us that Bank Nifty was rising till the IB. This is the IBH, and once we got this IS plus IS inside the 10 bar rule, it was a clear shot because this second IS broke VWAP also. So with the stop loss at the highs of the first IS, Bank Nifty was a short, and from these levels of 52894, it went on to drop to 52234. So that was a big drop, and you can see this IS was holding, the VWAP was holding, and the POC was shifting lower all through the day. So this is how we can make use of this candlestick chart, and you can use the different time frames. You have the 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 5 minutes, and 3 minutes. We also have the 1 minute time frame. So whichever time frame you are comfortable with, you can go through that. So this red shaded bars are the IS bars. The bars which are shaded in yellow, the green, in fact, these are the IB bars. You have a star also at the top of that bar to denote whether it's an IB or an IS. Green star will be at the bottom of the IB bar because that will be the support, and a red star will be at the top of an IS bar because that will be the resistance or the stop loss. So I'm just zooming more so that you can have a look. I'll show you an example of an IB bar. This 1154 bar of yesterday was an IB bar in Bank Nifty December futures. You can see how the low of this bar held, and we went on to probe higher. And this IS bar came in. So this is your signal to book profits and trail rest to cost. So in case Bank Nifty gives you more IBs, you can hold on to your position, and anyways, it's a risk-free part. So you have nothing to lose. So this, and coming to today's, you can see how this IS signal held. The highs of the IS became our resistance or the stop loss, and then when you get this new IS at VWAP, this high becomes our fresh TSL. So we hold on to our positions till our objectives are met. How do we arrive at the objectives? I'll show you in the market profile charts. And we can part book profits and trail rest to cost. So that is as far as the candlestick charts is concerned. Let us have a quick look at the Bank Nifty spot. I was telling you how to arrive at the targets. You can see on the left is the December futures Bank Nifty chart, and this anchored VWAP of 52230 is the anchored VWAP from the 21st of November, which was a swing low. So in case Bank Nifty was probing lower, this would be our support. This along with this negated anchored VWAP of swing high from 6th of November. So you can see how I'll just have the futures so that we can wrap this up fast. So you can see how the open went above the swing high, but what we have done in after the initial balances, we have left a selling tail. So once we got back into this previous day's range, we not only swipe through this value, but we also swipe through the 2-day balance which we had formed on Monday and Tuesday. So this is what the structure in Bank Nifty futures was looking, and what the order flow showed us at the open, and how did it went. Let us have a quick look at that and wind up today's evening session. So you can see Bank Nifty in fact opened strong. It was above previous day's POC and the rollover point of 24620 52620. This was the POC and the rollover point. You can see how we were above that and we went on to probe higher. We made higher highs in the B. But as soon as we made these highs, here you can see an RS bar. You have zeros on the buy side. And 1015 was our first IS. So RS plus IS is a good signal that now you can look for short trades. And this second IS, which has come inside the 10 bars, is your clear sign that you can go short. Stop loss would be the POC of the first IS bar, which is at 53,000. So after that, you can see it has just gone on to continue lower and probe lower, and whatever bounce it was giving, it was holding above this POC. And VWAP was not at all tagged throughout the day. So that is how we look to take trades, and the POC shifting is a signal to book profits in shorts, but definitely not a signal to go long or take a contra position. So that is the reason Bank Nifty, whatever bounce it was giving, it was stalling at important latest references, and it went on to make lows of 52201, which is where that anchored VWAP reference of 52232 came into being. So that was holding, that was not showing us selling, and that level was holding, because of which Bank Nifty did not fall any further and consolidated into the close. So this is how we use the order flow and trade the order flow. One final look I would want to give is to this 24200 put, and you can see how the order flow charts in this put also should give us some good trades. So this is the opening order flow of the put, where nothing is happening. This put in fact was being written because we were about 24,200, and 24,190 was the monthly POC of Nifty spot. So that was expecting to hold, and we were getting writers over here. But what changed when we got that signal, IS signal in the order flow? You can see how that IS signal in the order flow was complemented with a huge first green bar came at the 1030, and then you got this bar at 1033. So when you're getting this kind of a bar, and Shai has mentioned this previously also, that the best signals are the ones which come in futures and are complemented in the options. Sometimes you get moved only because of options. Sometimes when you're getting more signals in both, that those are the best trades, and those are the trades you can go full in and you can hold on to those trades for a longer duration of time, for a bigger range. So this bar you can see at 1033 how we have zeros at the bottom. So this bar is telling you that the writers have been taken for a ride. They have got hit very badly, and you can see they are just rushing out to exit. So when you get this kind of a bar in the options at VWAP, the zeros form the support, and even this POC of 90, which was right at the top, was not tagged all day, and this went on to give us good upside. And I was talking to you about the 215 pullback which we got in Nifty futures. You can see how the order flow took support in this right at the IB. So this 212 was this big IB bar we got when we made those new lows, and because this was a huge IB bar, we went on to make a dip, and you can see this 230 dip made a low of 189, and this IB low of 184 just held. So this was the sign. Even if you take these zeros in the order flow as the resistance and you place a trade above 220 to go long, and when you get this confirmation green bar, if you go long at 220 with a stop loss of 183, you can see how you've gone on to hit this 300 mark. And then after that, you've got this fresh IB, so 249 becomes your trailing stop loss, and this 249 held into the close. So these are the signals which we use and trade, and that is what we wanted to show you, how to use order flow to enhance your trading. Shubh has a question that before the 10:30 IB signal was there. So that is what IB low would be our support. So if you're talking about, and we have mentioned how to identify the signals of order flow. I'm not sure. 940. 940, there is no IB signal. This is not an IB signal. We did not get any IB signals, and IS plus IS is what we look for. So this is more, in fact, this 940 bar was an important indication of support. It was telling us that the buyers are holding this because we got zeros on the sell side. That is the reason this 24253 was one important support. So when this 24253 got broken with this huge IS, you can see how we left an extension handle and zeros right there. So order flow immediately tells you to change the bias. So when we got zeros on the sell side at 940, 24250 was support. But when we got this big seller and zeros on the IS bar, that became resistance. So I hope that clears that view. And once we always go with the latest signal. So if the latest signal is an IS, till the time this IS reference does not get negated, we will hold on to the bias. So if this IS POC or IS high would have been taken out, then we would no longer give this IS bar the importance. So I hope that answers Shubh's query. So in case there are any other questions, I'll be happy to answer them before we wind up for the day. So I hope you like this. We will also have a live order flow session on X tomorrow. We will take you through live order flow charts. Do join in. We will make the announcement on X, and we will also tell you what time we will be doing it. So make sure you can watch the live order flow charts and you see what we do, how we do. Yes, the order flow charts and the signals what you get here at VMR, you will not find anywhere else. So our suggestion is not to compare them. Take it if you are using any service, then go by that and ask their support of what they are giving. You have any queries on our charts, we will be happy to answer, but we will not be able to answer you questions about someone else's charts, because we know best how our charts work. Any query on our charts, we will be able to handle it, but we will not be able to compare others with this or give you answers about what others are giving you. So one last questions before we wind up. Ram Kumar has a question. Want to know how the initial buying earlier in the morning suddenly became sellers. So we did not get any IB signals in Nifty, Ram Kumar. And yes, we were getting some responsive demand, which is why we had that 24253 marked. And that 24261 I showed you in the order flow was a low of an IB bar from yesterday. So that was definitely is level where the previous buyers had come. But as I mentioned, we will always go with the latest signal, and order flow will give you the latest example of how the volumes are coming in. So once you are seeing an IS coming in, there is no reason to be biased about upside, because the seller reference buyer reference has already been taken out. You will go with the latest information and you will have the latest signal as your bias for the way forward. And how do we know the strength? When you get this kind of IS plus IS, I told you the volumes are huge, and back to back IS are telling you that this is big. So when these kind of signals are coming in, you should blindly get into these trades. No, we already touched upon that. These signals have come only in the November futures order flow. We saw the candlestick chart of December. We did not get any IS signals there. So this could be a settlement related move which happened today. So for tomorrow, we will have to take a fresh view in the December futures and look at the order flow signals in the December futures to take some new trades, because the levels also will get changed. Today's is done. Tomorrow will be a fresh series. Surinder Singh has a question and he says we come after a big move. These big moves are coming every day. Learn how to trade them. See the charts, get the knowledge, and then you can trade them by yourself. You don't have to wait for us to come and tell you this. We had these moves on the upside yesterday. We had this move on the downside today. So this is something which you have to learn and you have to do it on your own. We are only here to help you. So the sooner you learn and grasp these concepts, the better it becomes for you as a trader to make use of them. So thank you guys for joining in. That is it for today from my side. And hopefully these sessions will be of help to you. And do join in for tomorrow's order flow session live. It'll be announced on X. And also, in case you're serious about taking it one step forward, do look if do try to make it for the Mumbai workshop on the 7th of December. So that is it for now. Thank you for joining in, signing off, and have a great evening.